Harold, when you're working from such a fully formed world, the world created by the books, how difficult was it to work out what to keep and what to lose? Because I guess there's a sort of pragmatic element to it where you can't have it all in there.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, first of all, I became a fan myself, and I kind of got attached to what I wanted to keep. And then I was very lucky to work very closely with Cassandra Clare, who's very understanding of the filmmaking process. And we basically just went back and forth. The first draft I read of the script was without a bunch of things. And then I read the draft, and I liked the idea of it. And then I read the book, and I was like, oh, my God, we got to put this in. We got to put this in. And then it ended up being a really, really big script. And then we had to trim it down from there again. But that has been one of the bigger challenges, is to make sure that we kept what we knew that the fans loved, and to make sure the story made enough sense for people who hadn't read the books. But up until the very last cut, we were still dropping in little lines to build the bridges between the information that you needed.
I think you told me the first cut of the movie was like 3.5 hours long.
Yes, it was, yes.
That's such a shame.
That'll be on the DVD sometime.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
And if you three want to avert your ears quickly, were you pleased with your cast, Harold?
Pardon? Oh,
you
yeah, I
pleased with
love
your
it.
cast?
I mean, now, I couldn't imagine anybody else
Stop listening,
doing
Lily.
Yeah.
God, sorry. I'll take a phone call while we're
yeah.
No, I know.
Yes.
It's unbelievable how these guys are perfect for the parts. It's Lily was already on board when I came on board. That's partly the reason why I wanted to do it, because I think she's an amazing actress. And then
Sorry, Mom.
yes. And Jamie was on the hot list, and there was some other name floating out there, and I just ignored all the other chitter chatter. I thought he is absolutely Jace to me. Yes, and he proved to be absolutely perfect. You know, I think that half angel thing comes across very nicely.
He's flirting with me now, isn't he?
And then Robbie didn't exactly look the part, so we had to put on some glasses and do a bit with his hair. And
Yeah.
and
They had to
also-
wash me.
Yes.
Hose you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was the accent, which I think he also mastered terrifically. And then once you've learned to love them, there is now absolutely no other option. Nobody else could be these characters, I think. So I'm very happy with them. And they're also fantastic actors. I mean, I dragged them through the mud and through the rain and in the cold and everything. Never one word of complaining. They just loved doing it all. I think.
It was
like
grumpy.
good
Yeah.
acting.
The editors managed to cut that out, Harold.
There's a few elements in the film that I found quite surprising. Firstly, some of it is terrifying.
Yeah.
I've really jumped. Were you aware of that? Because you're right on the cusp, I suppose, when you're making a film that's going to get a 12 certificate. Like, I was scared, and I'm 34.
Well, I think I was inspired by movies like that scared me, like The Exorcist, and I think when you deal with demons and dark areas, you shouldn't hold back. You should absolutely make people scared, and I think there is a version of this movie or this story that has real elements of reality, and I think just as we treated the characters truthfully, how does a girl react when she finds her mom is gone? How does she react when there's a weird creature in her house? You know, we had to be really true to those things, and just as we were true to those things and to the love story, we needed to be true to the scary bits.
The other thing that I noticed, films like this, I think, can sometimes be earnest, but this had a sense of humour. It's funny. Like, I laughed in it, which is really rare. Is that something that you wanted to make sure that you brought out?
Yeah, I think, I've been fortunate enough to spend a few times like this with Cassandra and her fans, and she's like a stand-up comedian. She's incredibly funny. And I think there's some great funny bits in the book, some great quotes and some real fine humor. And I thought as long as we keep the seriousness real and serious, then it's always time for a little laugh. And also, I think one of the things that I didn't want to have a damsel in distress that was just stressed out all the time, so we needed to create little pockets when Lily actually could smile. Remember, we talked about that in one of our first meetings, because I can't stand those movies when there's like a girl in distress and she's just a victim. But then in this one, so she has moments of lightness, and the humor does that too. And I think to have that balance, it gives you a little breather in between all the scary bits.
And it's kind of nice having your character there as well, Robert, because he's kind of like us. He's kind of like the audience, sort of reacting to what's going on. It's sort of like, what the? Which means you get a lot of kind of fun lines to play with.
Totally, yeah. It is always fun being the normal guy, at the back of the group, cowering in terror and kind of having brow furrowed, going, "What the hell is going on?" And kind of digesting the whole world through. I think what my character's armor very much in the film is kind of his wit and it's something to deflect all of the madness that that's going on, and it's kind of acts very much as his armor, whereas the shadow hunters have badass leather mail and weapons. He's kind of at the back making snidey, slightly sarky comments. But yes, that was a lovely thing to play with, and there's a lot of comedy that can be juiced out of that. But I remember, like in the beginning, Harold saying, everything has to be played absolutely seriously down the line. Never can you think that this is a moment where you're going to deliver a funny line, because that is the most unfunny thing in filmmaking. So, he was always there on hand to remind us to take everything absolutely seriously. And I think that's when the best comedy, comes out.
There is also, I guess it has happened in films before, but I can't think of one. More than a love triangle, there's effectively a love square.
Cube.
So there's the three of you, and then Alec as well.
Kevin Zegers.
Yeah.
We love Kevin.
And it's so complicated, I loved it.
It's actually a love pentagram, because there's Magnus Bane too, who's
True. A love pentagram. That's got to be a first.
That's true. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's getting really
It's a
complicated.
love hexagon.
But then there's also Isabel, who jams along a bit
Yeah,
later.
kind of goes.
I just realised it's really messy.
Everyone
really
has their
messy
eye on
story.
someone
I know,
else,
yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that word.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think a lot of people have been sort of asking, I suppose, in interviews, particularly because we've been touring with Kevin, like myself and Lily, the importance of having a gay character in a modern movie, and I suppose I get the question, I think, but also it's sort of neither here nor there, in the same sense that having sort of a female heroine, I understand its importance, but sex and sexuality nowadays isn't really something that's at the forefront, or shouldn't be at the forefront of a bone of contention. It should be. I think we're all sort of wise enough and old enough and ugly enough to realise that we're all human in a way. We do have the love triangle, we do have the love cube, and we do have the love pentagram, or whatever you want to call it.
Let's go with pentagram.
Let's go with pentagram.
That's the most magical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's the most spiritual. It's the most spiritual kind of love. But we're all I think, we were all very much aware of our own character's sort of development within that story as well. Jace is a shadow hunter before any of this story starts, with the movie and his and the book as well, and his world is starting to turmoil by the arrival of Clary. Clary's world is just constantly shifting, and it's a continuous shift of what the bloody hell is going on here? What what is this? And how do I fix this? And Simon, who's thrown into this world of the shadow hunters and whatnot, also is finding his voice in the ability to be able to tell her about his, secret feelings of, as you have said in the past, sexy love romance.
Or different variations.
And that's a direct quote from the film, weirdly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think